the courage of those people day after day and to go on with life over there. And there's something about, you know, we've all in journalism interviewed important politicians and important people, but that in the last couple of years is the most memorable to me.
Thank you for sharing that. Wow, I didn't realize that Russian was his first
I know. So, and he doesn't want to do the interview in that. That's
right.
for sure.
Yes. Yes. Well, you make it look so easy. I know it's when you have an earpiece and people are talking and it's a different language, but of course you make everything look very easy. Maybe you can share a most challenging interview, maybe one that you had live on air.
I think live interviews are obviously the hardest because you never know what to expect, and it can go in a million different directions. I don't mean to like slide off the most memorable interview, but I'm going to slide on to debates. Those are the hardest. Hands down, no question. Moderating a debate is harder than interviews because it's just something that's so dynamic, and you really never know. As much homework as you have done, as much homework as they have done, you never really know where that is going to go. In terms of most challenging, sometimes it's challenging because they're so emotional and so powerful, and some of, I'll combine challenging and memorable, are soldiers and who I have interviewed over the years that, I mean, the stories are absolutely gut-wrenching, and one of the first times I ever did one with someone in battle. You know, they set up these interviews for me, and, you know, there are these guys who looks like they're in the dentist's office. Last thing they want to do is do an interview with me. And I remember just saying, tell me what happened. And, you know, a 35-year-old guy, grizzled sergeant, breaks down in absolute uncontrollable tears. And those are so challenging because you just, and I probably did, I mean, you just want to hold them. And you know, those are so hard, and you don't, I'm not one of those reporters that wants to push people to do that. I'm respectful of that, but you certainly want that moment to happen. There was a colonel I interviewed once. This was after a year or so of horrible battles, and their families had lost so much, and you know, this was like, there is no more like colonel type guys. Abe Abrams, his dad was Creighton Abrams, who was in Vietnam, and the tanks are named after him, and Colonel Abrams is just a bulldog, and all I asked him was, what's this year been like for you? And he started talking about the families, and he could not stop crying. And he was so embarrassed by that he was calling me afterwards and saying, please don't run that. And I'm like, Colonel, who eventually was a 4-star general, as you might imagine, it shows you care. I mean, we're running that. And please don't be embarrassed by that. It shows you care. And I mean, I remember like Peter Jennings on the air last night, that night, kind of choking up, and George Stephanopoulos later, when we ran it on another piece, kind of choking up as well, because you just can't look at that. But those moments are so important, and it was so important to see how much you cared and how much loss you had.
Of course, you're a seasoned, consummate professional, but you're also human too. How do you maintain control when things go a little out of control? As you mentioned, some of the experiences you've had that you don't expect to happen live on air.
I think you just really have to get in the zone.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you do it too, Elaine. You just have to get in that zone and remember what your job is. And then you want to keep asking those questions, and you want to keep getting answers. I mean, not an emotional interview like that you want to be respectful, that you want to let them tell their story. And in a way, stay out of people's way.
Yeah.
And that, you know, that accounts for a lot of interviews. On the other hand, if they aren't asking questions, to me, answered questions, to me, I don't want to become the story. I want answers, I want to keep pressing, but if I ask them 22 times to answer the question, then